afternoon slash evening slash morning, depending on where you are. So Dr. Eliada Wosu Griffin-El is an award-winning expert. She's also an author, a speaker. She's an educator on entrepreneurship and innovation. She's an international business and leading with agility. Eliada currently serves as an associate professor of management at Robert Morris University's School of Business. She has led the development of signature co-curricular and academic programs for promoting the entrepreneurial mindset venture, building across multiple campuses. Prior to working at RMU, she served as the senior lecturer of social entrepreneurship at UCT here in Cape Town, which is super great. For those who don't know as well, I just want to put in there that Eliada mentioned earlier that she was here in South Africa for quite some time. Are you South African, Eliada, or?
I am Nigerian. My family is West African.
Yes, but you just studied this side, and your children were born this side.
Oh yes, I was actually I was a faculty member. Yes, so I was a faculty member at the University of Cape Town for 6 years, and there my children were born in Cape Town.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, moving on with your bio. Eliada's work involves working with and supporting social entrepreneurs while turning the experience into practical knowledge that entrepreneurs can make use of. She serves on a number of boards for social enterprise accelerators, social enterprises, and research institutions. She holds a PhD in global political economics and a master's in international development from the University of Pittsburgh, and a bachelor's degree in sociology from Yale University. Wow, Eliada, this is a very impressive CV. I'm here like wanting to be your friend. I'm like, I am feeling this. All right, I'm just gonna read the last part quickly. Eliada is married to her wonderful husband, who is also a doctor, and he's one of the guest speakers in today's program, Dr. Nosekere Griffin-El. And together, they're proud parents of two energetic boys, Nosekere Jr., who is 7 years, and Oyamachi, who is 6 years of age. Everyone, can we please show our videos quickly and clap our hands for our amazing Dr. Eliada.
That is so kind.
Thank you so much, guys. Okay, over to you, Eliada. I'm gonna enable you to be able to share any slides if you wish to be. If you wish to do so.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right.
Good. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure, everyone, to be here. I am so grateful. I'm so excited. I was Unotida, who was, big boss man, used to be one of my former students and became a very close friend of my husband and I. We miss him so much. So when we saw this invitation, we surely could not say no. Can't say no to Uno. And so, so with that being the case, here I am. I thank you so much, Shiamo, for such a lovely introduction, a heartwarming introduction. I feel like I'm at home. And it is my pleasure to share with you all insights about social entrepreneurship as inspired by your why that positions entrepreneurs to be such powerful agents of change in the world. And so everyone pull out some paper and pencil or computer, take some good notes. I'm hoping that these will help for those of you who are interested in the social entrepreneurial journey, who are maybe have already launched enterprises or are deep in establishing an enterprise for social change. I'm hoping that some of this may not be new at all, and that's great. May it be a wonderful refresher or even affirmation. For others, if this offers very useful framing, then that's his purpose. His purpose is to serve as a variety of different tools and concepts that you can use to start to shape your ideas. So let us dive right on in. I'm going to share my screen. All right. And if anyone, at this moment, I have it shared where I'm seeing my presentation. So if at any point, I'll stop periodically through just to make sure everyone is good. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat, or it looks like we are we're an intimate crowd, so you could also mute your mic and, feel free to pleasantly interrupt me. But there'll definitely be time for questions and just conversation at the end. I'm also looking forward to learning as well. And this is some of my contact information by which, I would love to keep in touch with all of you. I'll also bring it up again at the end. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook, but these three tend to be my more active channels of communicating. So definitely reach out. Would love to further build with you. So yes, as Shiamo mentioned, I was a professor of social entrepreneurship at the University of Cape Town for 6 years. And after that, then moved to the United States and was able to really, really enjoy, really enjoy learning about entrepreneurship as a key and as a method for not just social change, but also for the enlivening of the communities and also for the enlivening of ourselves. I've always believed that entrepreneurship is here by which to enable us and position us to mobilize the solutions that are very much embedded in us already. The unique ways we think, the unique ways that we analyze information, even the unique ways by which we make meaning of the world that we're in, all of those pieces are a part of the problem solving. And all of those pieces are many times very unique to who you are, your life journey, what you've already experienced, your academic background, your professional background, your pains, and your triumphs. All of those components make up the essential ingredients of the lens that you use to see solutions to problems that are ailing society. And so the title of this, Being Your Why, is so powerful because many times we think that the solutions are out there or the people who solve them are out there. Some of the most inspiring work I've seen and have been a part of has been driven and enacted by by the people, by individuals who are in the midst of the action and who decide to daringly take action in order to shift systems and shift boundaries of life. So one thing I want you to start to even think about is how we can, and this is a great provocation to what you're going to hear later on today, as Shiamu mentioned by my husband, is to dwell on this concept is to dwell on these words written by a very wise leader of the indigenous nation here in the United States. And it says, sometimes dreams are wiser than waking. And I want us to capture that. And I want us to make meaning of that for ourselves. If I were to compel your thinking, I would encourage you to consider how sometimes dreams, what we can imagine, what we have the power to envision, what may not exist right now, but is yet to come, are wiser, they're more prolific, they're more life-giving than what we currently exist within. And that is the power of not only the entrepreneur, but now the entrepreneur who has chosen to use venture building skills in order to transform their environment and to enhance people's lives. They're choosing to make dreams, to make a vision of a better world a soon to be reality. And my hope and prayer is this for all of you. And so when we ask the question, why, I will compel us to even push a little further and ask, why not? You know, Simon Sinek became very, very famous off of his TED Talk on finding your why. You know, he has books, he has courses, he has classes on this idea of the why. And he probably really popularized it within our everyday lexicon. The necessity of knowing your why, of knowing the purpose that drives you, of knowing the core reason why you get up in the morning and the core motivation that informs your work. I would be so daring as to add that why is oftentimes is a continual and joyous mystery to us, that you probably have a sense of the core values or the core set of values or the core vision that drives what you do. And the beauty is that as we go through different episodes in life, that why will show up, and it'll show up in different ways. It will show up many times with different people and with new opportunities. But when you start to sit back and think and reflect on your life, you have probably already identified the patterns of the same things that have made you excited and why they have. You probably have already started to see the patterns of the same activity that draw you, sometimes those which you're willing to do for no charge at all, and why you're able and willing to commit to them fully. And so your why is that which you are continually discovering and affirming. And I say this so that we can embrace the reality that you may not fully know the answer, but the answer to that why, but you are discovering it with every new episode of your life. When I was at UCT, I learned very quickly the love that I have for creating learning environments where people are able to enact and they're able to activate their inner calling. That was something, and that's why I love entrepreneurship. That's why I love social entrepreneurship. Little did I know that now coming back to the United States, it's the same why that is driving my work as a professor, as a community leader.
Hello, Dr. Eliada. Can you hear me? Eliada, are you there? Okay, good evening, everyone. It seems like we are experiencing a bit of a technical glitch from our speaker. Please be patient as we allow her time to come back on. All right, she's coming back in. She got kicked out for some reason, but she's back. Hello, Eliada.
Yes. Ooh, sorry about that. Okay.
The times of technology are tricky.
Indeed, indeed. But yeah, we're getting savvier. All right. I will continue. Could you enable me to share my screen again? Oh, it looks like I'm already in here. Sorry, everyone. It looks like, I don't know why.
It should be fine now.
Okay. No, it won't let me share it, but then it's also showing that I'm still in here.
Let me just see quickly if I can't kick you out if you're here again.
Let me see.
Okay. And then I'm gonna give you permission again.
Okay.
Okay,
All
how
right.
about now?
No, I think it's identifying me as someone else. Let me, because I see my name here twice. Sorry, everyone. We will fix this in a second. Let me close this.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. We are trying to fix the technical glitch. We're not sure what is happening. Okay, there we go. So we'll just wait for Dr. Eliada to come in again. Oh no, she's appearing here again. So I'm not sure what could be the reason for that. It seems as though she's here with the previous Zoom call that she had connected with. Okay, there we go.
She might not be able to come back if you've taken her out. Did you remove?
I removed, but I didn't report, which should still allow her to come back in.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry about that, everyone. These Zoom times and video calling times are quite unpredictable indeed. I'm just gonna WhatsApp her and see if she's okay.
While that is happening, we might as well chat, right?
Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting subject that she was presenting. I'm curious to know if anyone has caught on and what they think.
I'm just going to say that the way Eliada presents is quite, she's a deep thinker, and many of these things that she's talking about, when she was talking about back in the day, 2013, I was doing a program with her, I think gave my dreams life. And I think GSM, to a big extent, was developed during the lectures that she used to give. So it's a good time to take notes and just let that reflective moment be alive for you as you go through the session.
Una, sorry, I just wish to digress back to Eliada. She says because I removed her, it seems like she's able to come back in.
Is anybody who knows what to do when such a thing happens? She can use a different
maybe her heart's like no carriers. Let me see if
she can use a different email to log in if she can. But also in these settings, is there a way that you can invite? Let's see.
We really apologize for this, everyone.
Oh, there she is. Yeah, there she is.
Thank you for your patience. Is she coming in now?
I think I saw her on the
waiting room
for a moment.
So we're just happy you are back. Hey, I think everyone is relieved. Like, we were enjoying that.
Praise God. Well, we are going to keep it moving. Do you all see my screen here?
Yes, we can see that.
Very cool. This is actually so much cooler because now I can see you. Yeah, this is the hubby's computer. All right. So, where we left off. As we are asking questions about our why, I compel us to ask additional questions by which we could further flesh out that why. Because yes, there is the why we seek to build any venture to create social change, why we seek to innovate. And that will speak to the mission. It will speak to the core purpose that drives your entrepreneurial action. But then, as we look at these other variations of the same why question, our answers to them could also speak to the other components of your social entrepreneurial model. So, in addition to why you? Why should you be the person that drives that change? Why should you be the person that drives the solution? You being the entrepreneur who harnesses your power to reimagine and to create. Why them? Them being the members of the communities that you love, those whom you seek to see their lives enhanced, those whom you see advance and hopefully are further empowered by the work that you're doing. Uh, them are those who you fight and build for. Why this? This being this being this particular solution you have in mind. What are the elements of the endeavor that you want to launch? Your solution, its unique design, its detailed deployment. Why this particular approach to make change? And then, fourthly, why here? Why in this environment? Why in this particular ecosystem? You know, in entrepreneurship, we talk about the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And what that is that it is an integration of multiple systems by which to create a fertile environment for entrepreneurial growth. So it is not only the entrepreneurs themselves, the ideas and the communities they make, but it's the legal structure you're embedded in. It's the social norms that drive people's human interaction. All of those components. It's the the knowledge base that is surrounding you, both informal and formal knowledge. It's the political arena that sees entrepreneurs as agents of change or not. All of those components make up this ecosystem that then determines whether it's the ideal context within which you grow or don't. So, yes, why, but then also why not? And then why you, why them, why this, and why here? We're going to take each of these in turn. So let's start with our why not. I would share this. I shared this when Uno Tita was in my class, and it's such a powerful framing to me of change. Because ultimately, we seek to be social entrepreneurs because we want to use venture concepts in a way that transform unjust, unfair systems that dehumanize and hurt people and the environment. We want to disrupt those. And we realized we could do so with an innovative lens and with business tools. And so ultimately, social entrepreneurship is a deployment of change, and the outcome should be freedom. It should be the enhanced freedom of people in the communities that you love and target. It should be the enhanced freedom of those who have been excluded and who have been made small by society. So I always reference this book I still have, and this is a classic now, called Freedom as Development is Freedom. And it's written by a iconic economist by the name of Amartya Sen. And basically, he says that in order for us to evaluate what development looks like, what change looks like in our society, at the end of the day, it should result in the enhanced freedom of all of us. That freedom as the ends of development, that should be the ends of the development that positions people to fully optimize their human capability, to embrace options because now they have options, and to shape their life as they desire. So we're talking about freedom, not just in the form of economic enhancement, not just in the form of employment, but in the form of being able to practice without threat political choice and expression, being able to be an individual from any culture or any race or any gender and not having to worry about the threat to your life or the threat to your personhood, both physically or emotionally. It means having opportunities accessible to you. It means living in a world that's transparent, where you are not operating within a silo because information and resources have been cut from you. And it means a world that you have the freedom to be safe. When we are social entrepreneurs, we're looking at not just product, process, and services. We're looking at whatever we innovate that helps to enhance the freedom of people. And so, with that lens, think about how society is multidimensional, and so also then is the experience of poverty. We're looking, our desire and our hope, I imagine for many of us that why reflects people's liberation from poverty that shows up in poor health and poor education. But my hope also is that it's also poverty, the type of poverty that you can't touch. So the poverty from embedded racism, both interpersonal and systemic, the to address the poverty of depression, to address the poverty of social fragmentation, both all forms of ailment and of deep deficiency in our society that keeps people from moving forward. Here in the United States, we are, which has actually been very powerful. We're joining and we have seen a world movement swell around people's demand to be seen and humanized here in the United States by our local law and by our local and national law enforcement. This is a fight for freedom on many different accounts. And so we're seeing individuals. Many of us are aware how racism, institutional dehumanization of people is not new across our countries, across our communities, particularly communities of Black people worldwide. And in 2020, again, we saw another episode where the very gruesome death of George Floyd provoked a movement here in the States and a movement and spoke life into a movement worldwide. Because sure, some of these folks may be fully employed. Some of them may not have to worry about money, but when it comes to the internalized threat of feeling that they may be pointed out or they may be hurt because of the color of their skin or their gender, yeah, that's a freedom that's being threatened. And so we are starting to see more and more. And so we're in a time where the idea of change to enforce freedom is no longer a negotiable conversation. It is now the standard that many of us are holding, and hence then the room for social entrepreneurs. Hence then the room for your why to come to life, because I could probably bet you there's hundreds of people whose whys are resonating with yours. Even if your why is as complex and as messy as the fight for the end of police brutality. You know, I'm Nigerian. We saw the same resonating fight in Nigeria with the end of SARS. You know, I've seen the protests also in South Africa. I've seen it is a Pan-African Afro-global movement. And so is the case with so many of the big, wicked, nasty problems that we want to address. Education, improved education across our communities, improved health care across our communities, the elimination of bias and violence against women. All of those things are very powerful problems that have been informed by individuals' uncompromising whys. And so and they categorize themselves as what the literature would call a wicked problem. Now, this is a language that's not new to us, but you might find the definition compelling. When we talk about that big, nasty, wicked problem, we're talking about a large, complex social problem. It's complex, that usually doesn't have a clear solution, that usually is being driven by multiple stakeholders that have conflicting ideas and conflicting information, and of which people many times have some sort of political or economic interest towards one end or the other. These are the type of things: sanitation, climate change, gun control, the abuse of children. In the United States, the conversation around immigration. These are the things that many of us sometimes we fall back and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so overwhelming. That's so overwhelming. Like who fixes that? And then we just point and we hope government, or we point and we hope, um, Jeff Bezos, or we sit there and we wait for another very wealthy person or and we never think of us. My challenge to us is to think of us. But oftentimes we are actually the most and best positioned to tackle these wicked problems, literally one strain at a time. So why you? Why you as the entrepreneur? Social entrepreneurship, and I was going to get there. Here's the textbook definition: a process involving the innovative use and combination of resources to pursue opportunities that catalyze social change or address social needs. This is a, at one point when it was in, when I was in, let's see, 2011, 2012, there at UCT, the big fervor and all the fuss was around definitions, definitions, definitions. At the end of the day, so many of the definitions resonated with each other, and it probably intuitively resonates with you. But ultimately, you're speaking to a process of deploying and combining resources in novel ways, using tools and thinking, tools and a mindset of innovation by which to create something that changes the current status quo, something that makes certain markets accessible to those who have been excluded, something that reimagines new organizations in a way that they haven't existed before, something that tackles the ugly, ugly strains of our society like racism, sexism, ageism, ableism. I could go down the list. Something that completely takes the failure of our public systems head on and says, you know what? Innovatively, we could think of another way to do it. And so social entrepreneurship is that method and that process you undergo by which to use innovation and venture build and entrepreneurial tools to recombine resources in a novel way that addresses a solution and creates social change. Now, why you? Because you, my dear colleagues, have a particular set of resources at hand, even if you don't think so, because resources are defined as larger than just financial resources. With my students, I teach undergraduate and graduate students throughout the semester, about 100 students each semester. And oftentimes we have to debunk the idea that resource equals money. No, there's intellectual capital, as in what is in your head and what is in the heads of others who are willing to work with you. There is the beauty of relational capital, social capital, as in the power of the relationships that you have with people, people within your inner circle, people within circles of influence, whom you're able to call on your team in order to create certain inroads or push certain boundaries for you. There's physical capital, your access to any sort of physical asset that you're able to apply. So machinery, your home, land, a building, an office, certain types of technology. There is a variety of different resources you have access to, but then also never discount your own special journey and the tacit knowledge that comes from that, the unwritten insights and wisdom that you've gained from your struggles, that you've gained from your pain and from your triumph. All of that is arsenal in your pocket. And so with all of that, you are in the position to enact what a very famous entrepreneurship scholar calls the theory of effectuation. And this is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. The idea that you have as uncertain as the future is, the beauty with entrepreneurs and with social entrepreneurs is that we're able to create the future that we don't know by that which we innovate. And so we are able to innovate many times with what we have at hand. And this isn't new to us, especially I'm speaking to fellow Africans. This is not new to us. This is what we do all the time with what we have at hand, with what we have in our pocket, with what is growing in the backyard, with what, you know, Auntie Yetunde or Uncle, so with what we're able to amass together, we come up with the innovation and then the plan by which to multiply it and by which to affect others other than ourselves, hence effectuation. Social entrepreneurship is not different. Entrepreneurship is not different. And I feel like I'm speaking to the choir. So, but when we think of entrepreneurship, for some reason we think, oh man, I need funding, I need funding. Oh man, I need to be able to connect to a certain type of accelerator or get a certain type of register. And oftentimes that entrepreneurial process is enacted with however you, with what you have at hand to build, even if it's initially at a small scale, in order to test it with a community, test it with a market, use that to get real-time input, real-time data, real-time information to refine your idea, to increase your visibility, to go back at it again, possibly even fail, refine your process, go back at it again, maybe get to a second community, maybe tweak a nuance that you realize, boom, this is the way it works. And then starting to build and build incrementally from there. You know, for the longest time, entrepreneurship was defined as you find an opportunity and then you activate it. But more and more entrepreneurial scholars are saying, no, opportunities are not separate from the entrepreneur. It's everything that is in you, your skills, your experiences, your abilities, that then engages with the conditions of the society that you're in and your particular interpretation of it that lends to a certain type of novelty that only you could create. That's why when entrepreneurs are like, I don't want anyone to copy my ideas. If nobody could copy you, then nobody could copy your ideas. They can't. They can't. You may make, really top edge, self-elevating sneakers. Someone else might too. But at the end of the day, how you imagine that product innovation, how you frame it for your audience, who you target, is very unique to your convictions, your philosophy, and your knowledge. That cannot be replicated. Hence then, to effectuate means, as you see this stepping ladder in front of you, I thought about what I knew, my skills, my experiences and abilities, and developed an idea that matched me. And that's why I love entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is such an outpouring of who we are. I created something and just started testing it. But then as we get really savvy and creative, we get to push our effectuative approach to now starting to design. That now we see the opportunity to create, and now we start to actually innovate it. But we innovate it as it's informed by our understanding of the need of those around us. Our understanding of how this idea that is starting to percolate within our mind can best serve those whose life we want to affect, right? And that is so, it's the central part of what I'm sure several of us have heard of, this design thinking approach, this human-centered approach, that you're holding people at the center of your thinking. So, how much time do I have? Let me check the
Hi, Eliada. I actually sent you a message saying that we need to move to questions quickly.
Oh, okay.
Time has really run out on us.
That's okay. That's okay. All right, then I'll touch on the 4 whys quickly, and then open up the questions, and then we could dive into any of those specifically if we need to. So,
no problem.
The third then is why them. This is a quick picture of my students when we brought them to South Africa in 2019. We were at the Steve Biko Center for Bioethics. To me, the young people, as well as the community members and entrepreneurs I get to work with, are a big part of my answer of why them. And I imagine many of you already have who they are in mind. As an entrepreneur, you'll be driven by compassion, which holds the idea of orienting your business to serving others, to serving whoever them is. And so I challenge you to think about how your compassion, your desire to prioritize the livelihood of others informs your innovation. Number 4, why this? Now that you have an idea of who the them is, why this particular innovation? this same human-centered idea informs an access to try to create solutions that are desirable, feasible, and viable all at the same time. And then once you have tweaked and defined what that innovation is, now you want to house it within a particular type of social venture. If anyone has questions about this later, I could dive into it later. And so how you structure your venture and how you structure your innovation and then embody it in a particular type of venture structure is what's going to enable you to address the needs of the them who you endear so deeply, right? And then lastly, why here? You think about, as entrepreneurs, where your environment that enables you to grow and to thrive. You know, this is a diagram from the famous Daniel Eisenberg of, at that time, Babson College, which is a top entrepreneurship university here. And he lays out the idea of the ecosystem. And I just want you all to see this so that because everyone talks about ecosystem these days, please look, this, you know, it has a science. You know, there are various stakeholders that are involved and they all intersect and interact with each other in order to create an environment that is fruitful for entrepreneurs. So where will your venture best grow? Which region of the country or the world, which community? And then once you have figured out your where, how do you engage with the environment that's around you? This is a body of work that I'm working on now around a boundary spanning. How do you, as the venture builder, create the boundaries of your organization that is open and porous to the information and the people in the broader environment with whom you can work with in order to build that social innovation? Unutida, you told us to bring resources. So I land here a few of these things that I think will be useful to you. These may not be, many of you may know of these, but here are a list of organizations that are involved one way or the other globally in social entrepreneurial action. So for those of you who are looking to understand how it is showing up across the world, looking up any of these organizations may be very inspiring. And then lastly, a second tool that I think is very powerful is using this for entrepreneurs. Many of you have heard of the business model canvas. That is a tool used to help entrepreneurs design their business model. Here, the same founders of that created what is called the mission model canvas. And answering these 9 core components could help you start to establish the building blocks, to think through the building blocks of your own social venture. All right. This could be, Googled, but steveblank.com. Steve Blank is one of the founders. He provides a nice elaboration and additional resources by which to better understand this model. All right. With that said, keep moving. Whatever idea is percolating, start somewhere, even if it is literally with what you have in your hand at a very small starting point. And with that, I thank you. Thanks everyone for being
here. Thank you so much, Dr. Eliada. For those who joined later, we had a bit of a technical glitch there, and that is the reason that we're running behind. We're really doing our best to stay on track. So I'm just going to allow literally a minute for questions. Is there anyone who would like to ask Dr. Eliada something? If you have comments, please drop them in the chat box. But I just want to open this minute to someone with a question, please. All right. Please know that we are going to be sending these slides through to you later. If Dr. Eliada hasn't already sent them to us, she definitely will do so, and we will distribute them to everyone. So thank you so much. I'm going to give over to Uno quickly to have a vote of thanks before we move to the next session.
Thank you very much. Let me do this. Thank you very much, Dr. Eliada. Certainly, technology tried to trick us on this one, and I was really getting into my element when you were teaching these things. And I think there is a need for a review and some extra session sometime, and I will get in touch with you so that we really get the full bit of this, and we can still invite the participants that have come through so that they can get the meat of it. But thank you for what you have already said. It was challenging, or saying to the people when you were trying to join in, that my journey into this social enterprise called GSM was birthed in your classroom. And I still remember, and I still have an essay, I think it must be 12 or 13 pages long, where I was answering some of the deep questions that you asked in the class. And so I know that what you teach works, and I really and truly appreciate you for making time for us. And hopefully you will continue making that kind of time for us in the future. Thank you so much for coming through and spending this special time. Thank you, Eliada.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you so much, Dr. Eliada. We conquered. Thank you very much. Sorry.